Hetty and me decided to try and get as far away from the sea as we could. So we headed inland and settled on a little farm not far from Skowhegan. And she, being a farm girl, said, "You know, Virgie, plant early, harvest early when you're in this business." Well, it weren't long before she gave birth to a baby boy. Well, she said that he was some cunning, but you know, you could have got me a sharp knife and a soft piece of white pine, and I could have whittled you a better-looking baby than the one we got. He come out weighing 3 pounds, 5 ounces. Hetty says, "I barely got my bake back." Well, you know, it was nothing but mud and frost and mud. As soon as the frost would end in the spring, the mud would commence, and it wouldn't stop until the frost commenced in the fall. Hetty and me, we headed even further inland. We did this by going to the Skowhegan Fair, where they had an ascension of a lighter-than-air balloon on the last day, and we got right up close to that balloon, jumped aboard the gondola, and they loosed the lines, and we were up out of sight before they could do anything about it, and the wind blew us westward. We saw a farmer plowing in the field. I cried out, "Where are we?" He didn't even look up. He just said, "You're in a balloon, you damn fools." Well, the wind carried us even further inland until we come to the woods of Maine, and I saw a clearing, let the gas out the balloon, come down light as a feather. I didn't waste no time. I built a cabin in the woods, and then I hauled some old oil drums from a nearby railroad siding, and I welded and soldered them together as best I could and come up with a stove that was a strange-looking contraption. The draft hole come in the top, and the stovepipe went out the bottom. But, you know, I knew that that stove was going to have one heck of a draft. And some of the local guide fellas come over, and they laughed at that stove, and they laughed at me, but I warned them that that stove was going to have one heck of a draft, and they'd better stand back when it started up. I went off to the woodshed to fetch an armload of hardwood that would burn slow and easy. I didn't want to have no nuclear reaction. Well, sir, I was heading back toward the cabin when the most awful roaring sound started up. Who put softwood in that stove? You put kindling in it, you started it up, and it's going much too strong, you damn fools. Well, I had a hard time getting back into that cabin. I had to grip the sides of the door frame. Such was the suction coming out of that stove. And them guide fellas was holding on to the insides of that cabin with their teeth and fingernails dug right into the walls. And their legs are flapping in midair. Well, there's a clatter, an awful clatter. And first the lid lifter, then the stoker, then the shovel was sucked right in through the draft and rattled out the chimney. And then there was an awful wrench, and that stove lifted up off the cabin floor and come to rest against the splits of the roof. I say come to rest, it weren't but a minute, for there was another ungodly wrench. And the cabin lifted right up off its foundations. Well, I knew right then and there we had a stove with one heck of a draft. I got up on top of a chair and grabbed a hold of that damper handle, and with great presence of mind, I ever so slowly turned that damper handle toward the closed position, thereby easing the cabin back down to its foundations. And ever so gentle lowering the stove back down to the cabin floor. I turned the damper all the way off, shut the draft, the roaring subsided, and one of them fool guides, who had returned to the upright, he had the audacity to say, "You know, Virgie, if you had had a governor on that stove, then that wouldn't have happened." I said, "Governor, heck, you put softwood in that stove, and not even the President of the United States is going to hold it down."